Hey guys, how's it going? Joshua Crisp here. In this video today, I want to talk to you guys about part of product research that I think gets overlooked and does not get the amount of attention that it should get. A lot of people overlook this because they're blinded by the metric, and this is super huge. This is super huge, and it's very important to complete product research section and segment, however you like to call it. My last video, I went into great depth about a couple different ways and methods to find a $1 million product, or a product that sells high 5, low 6 figures monthly. This video will kind of coincide with that video, so make sure if you haven't seen that video that I put out last, it's titled How to Find a $1 Million Product, make sure you view that. So if you guys like learning about Amazon FBA and how to become successful in selling on Amazon, as well as becoming an entrepreneur or growing and succeeding as an entrepreneur, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. After you subscribe, click the notification bell right next to the subscribe button. That way you're notified when I put out new content. You'll be the first to market, first to dollar. So with that being said, stay tuned. Let's go ahead and dive right in. This is one of the most important parts of product research, and it definitely gets overlooked, and a lot of people definitely do not capitalize on this and utilize this to the best of its potential. There's more to product research than just metrics and finding a profitable, nice margin product. You know, we've talked about seasonal items, we've talked about semi-seasonal items, we talked about giftable items, we talked about items that are trending, and all that good stuff. So, you know, once you find your profitable product that is in the niche that you feel comfortable, that you want to establish and create your brand in, there is a couple other things that you want to do. Off to the side of making sure that it's not seasonal, it's not a trending product, the margin is proper, the margin is adequate, that you're going to make good amount of money, and that it is not copyrighted or patented. And that falls in line with your supplier, your manufacturer. After you run the numbers and you find that product, you know that it makes sense. Jungle Scout is showing you that the numbers are proper, the trends are proper, the amount of reviews is showing you that it's not competitive. You checked Google Keyword Planner, you checked camel, camel, camel to make sure that it's not seasonal or a downward trending item like the fidget spinner, an oversaturated downward trending item. You're ready to source. Now, when you source, it's not about finding the lowest price on Alibaba. A lot of people have a misconception that their goal on Alibaba is to find the manufacturer that will get back to them with the lowest price per unit, or maybe the lowest MOQ, or minimum order quantity, with the lowest price per unit. Okay? What you have to take into consideration is that Alibaba is the district or the China market, business marketplace, to the US business marketplace. Okay? So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys went to ASD this year, and what you'll notice going to a lot of these ASDs, a lot of these different people are not direct manufacturers or suppliers. They're what's called a distributor. A distributor, the difference between you and a distributor and a manufacturer is somebody who directly manufactures the product in their facility, then sends it to you. They have the availability to customize, private label, or do anything that you need. A distributor is somebody who buys large quantities at discounted rates due to volume purchasing from a manufacturer and has a relationship with a direct manufacturer, then middlemans or distributes to you. When you're looking on Alibaba, you're going to see that a lot of these different sellers have the same pictures, same listing products, same description, same words, etc. But they're different companies. One that you'll see trading company a lot in the description. Okay, these are usually distributors. Um, and I go into great depth. I'm not going to go into super huge depth on how to find the big head honcho, how to find that manufacturer and get, usually 50 to 300% lower pricing. I go into that in depth in my course. It's about 2 hours worth of content. So that's totally different. If you're interested in that, that is in the course. But I will show you guys how to find uh, the best fit for you on Alibaba. Make sure that you get not only a good price, but you get somebody who is trustworthy, not fraudulent, and somebody who's going to screw you over. I'm also going to show you in this video how to CYA yourself or cover your ass, essentially by protecting your capital investment, especially when you're making the initial purchase with the investor. It's happened to me in the past because I didn't have guidance and I didn't know any better. So how I used to source on Alibaba in the past is I would just email 10, 15 people, and whoever gave me the best price, boom, I'd go with them. And when you're doing FBA, you're having the manufacturer sometimes, which is a distributor, and you may not know, but you're having the supplier on Alibaba send directly to the fulfillment center via Amazon FBA, and then what happens is they disperse it to the distribution centers and send it direct to consumer. The problem with that is you never physically see the product. So, there's a lot of generic products that, the quality may not affect your performance, but then again, there is a lot of products that have multiple case products or multiple products, electrical products. There's a lot of different products out there where poor quality will affect your performance, which in the long run will affect your sales and conversions. All right, so enough talking. Let me go ahead and dive in. Just for illustration purposes, I went ahead and pulled up this lazy sleeping airbag. This is a trending product right now. It does pretty well. I've seen a lot of distributors at the ASD show doing this. I'm actually doing some product research on a couple of these. So I'm just going to use this for an example. Okay, so first things first, you'll see all this good stuff over here to the right. All right, and what you'll see first is this little coin thing, and it'll show you the amount of years they've been on Alibaba. So here you see 8 years, 2 years, 1 year. That shows you the amount of time that they've been on Alibaba. Okay, next to that will be their company name, their entity name. Okay, you'll see China mainland. It'll show you what part of China they're from. Okay, or the area and country that they are from. Then next to that is super important. You'll see this little crown-looking dollar sign thing that says trade assurance, that they offer trade assurance. Okay. Usually you have to be a gold level supplier to do this. I believe it's a minimum of 1 year. So that's the first step is, you want to go through trade assurance, but we'll get to that a little bit later. You will see the transaction level. So they're little diamonds, and the more diamonds they have, the more transactions. Like here you'll see there's no transactions, so it's half of a diamond. Here you'll see 13 within 6 month period. It's 2 diamonds, and below you'll see 20 transactions within a 6 month period, so they have 3 diamonds. Below that, this will show you the monetary value or the amount of capital that they raised within the 20 transactions within the 6 month period. And after this, you will see response rate. Okay, 74%, 96%. This is the response time that they get back to you on the Alibaba platform alone. You see this on eBay, you see this on Amazon. So a lot of people have a couple misconceptions. One of the biggest one, and I get this a lot in emails, I get a lot of my students asking about this. They will go off of 2 things, 3 things. The price, the response rate, and the amount of sales or the status. So first off, every member, every manufacturer, distributor on Alibaba has to pay for this stuff. And you always have to take into consideration that stats can become manipulated or be manipulated. So I look at hard cold facts. Number 2, response rate. A lot of people pass up good suppliers because they say, oh man, 80%, oh, 74% response rate. This guy's got 96% response rate. Even though he's had less transactions, he responds more on time. And a lot of people have a psychological thought process that thinks like this: if they don't respond on time, maybe they won't ship my product on time and I'll lose money. So a lot of people miss out on the proper choosing the proper manufacturer due to that. And I'm here to tell you this: 9 out of 10 suppliers will not their first mode of response will not be through the Alibaba platform. They will use the WhatsApp app. They will use Skype. They will use a third-party email like Gmail or something like that. It'll say business at, and then the name of their business, Gmail, a third-party Gmail email account, excuse me, and then the last in line will be the Alibaba platform. So take that into consideration. In my course, I don't even recommend contacting suppliers through Alibaba, and I don't. I tell them straightforward in the. I have a several paragraph template that I offer all my students, and basically it's really easy. Everything's handwritten for you. All you do is you take and you fill in the blanks that I leave open for you. It's several paragraphs. This is going to help you look very professional, get good prices, and get everything autonomous, whether you're doing it yourself or you're having a VA doing it. But that's besides the fact. I'm not trying to sell you the course. I'm just trying to, give you examples as to what to do. So when you're contacting the suppliers and you're looking at different suppliers, look at the response rate and then keep that in the back of your head that a lot of the big guys are not using the Alibaba platform. They're using Gmail. They're using different email services. They're using Skype. They're using WhatsApp app, etc. So once you take that into consideration and you know that, this will be irrelevant to you. The percentage will be irrelevant to you. Okay? Another thing is you have to take into consideration a lot of suppliers, after they do the first sale with you, a first initial sale, they will do wire transfers or orders via PayPal on third-party sites outside of Alibaba, because as you know, selling on Amazon, eBay, or any platform, not only is there a monthly subscription, there is a percentage of sale or percentage of money that they make, they have to give to the platform. So when you start getting into $10,000, plus sales, $5,000 plus sales, which a lot of the big guys are doing because of their volume, their capacity, capabilities, as well as their pricing, every dollar counts. Not only is it very expensive to advertise on Alibaba and to acquire customers, it's very expensive for logistics to get things overseas especially via air. So they're trying to save every dollar that they can. So once you understand these two things, these become irrelevant. Yeah, it's cool to look at it real quick and see what they're doing, okay? But that should not be a determining factor as to what manufacturer or distributor you use. Out of all of these, probably the most important thing that I look at is the amount of time that they've been on Alibaba. Okay, all the rest of this stuff doesn't even matter to me. I usually look at the amount of time that they've been on Alibaba, the level of seller that they are, as well as their company name. Okay? You see a lot of these trading companies, all right, are new companies, all right? But when you see the 15-year-old boys, the 8-year-old boys, their entity sounds a little bit more professional. So definitely look at the amount of years that they've been on there. That's the first thing I look at. All right. But all these metrics are really crap. So let's go ahead and dive into some examples, okay? You'll see all the pricing is generally the same, okay? And what happens is a lot of people get fooled and they click on the lowest price. All right. So let's just take the first 3 for example. These are organic. These are not advertised. All right, so let's just get the first 3. All right, so let me see here. Make sure I'm starting in order. 599's first. Yeah, I did it backwards. All right, so let's start with this guy here. The first thing I look at before I even contact and waste this guy's time or my time is to make sure that they have the trade insurance available, you know, okay? And then what I do is I go ahead and click on company profile, and I look at the amount of employees that they have, the amount of annual revenue that they have, and the year established. Okay? So all this stuff has to be verified, and Alibaba goes into great detail. They want pictures of everything. So, when you see verified, it's legitimate. When I talked about manipulation, you can manipulate numbers, but you cannot manipulate these numbers because they have to be verified, and there's a huge process. They have to send pictures. It's a freaking ridiculous process that they need to become verified. So when you see verified, you can trust this stuff from Alibaba. Up top, you'll see kind of how we talked about. A lot of these people are not using Alibaba's messaging system as main mode of contact. You'll see here's a direct line, a cell phone line, and then their email address through a third-party email, like we were talking about. So a lot of people, when you see that contact percentage, they're not doing the chat now or the contact supplier. And I don't recommend you do either, because then you look like a newbie and you're not going to get the best price. Professional companies that are doing 6-7 figures a year have people in a purchasing department. They have special people that all they do all day is source and network, and they're not chatting with large companies or potential customers through the chat now button. They're sending a nice email with a logo, a several paragraph email that's talking about how it's a beneficial, lucrative business relationship that they're trying to establish. They're telling the distributor or the manufacturer how they're going to add value and how that they plan on scaling up and building a brand. If you send them a chat now or a contact supplier and say, hey, I want the best price you offer, I need 300 units, they're gonna stroke you. You're gonna get a worse price than somebody who sits and emails them a nice 3-paragraph email saying that you're head of the purchasing department for such and such entity, and you have your logo in the header or the footer. Just trust me. I speak from experience. So take that into consideration. There's a statistic, and I don't know the exact statistical percentage, but I'm sure you guys have heard of this, that I want to say 90-something% of what people think about you is determined in the first minute of meeting you, seeing you, talking to you. The same happens when you're talking and contacting these suppliers, okay? They don't know what you look like. They don't know how much money is in your bank account. All they know is what they see in that first initial email. And you better believe that there's thousands and thousands of people reaching out to these people, trying to lowball them, talking pipe dreams and song and dances to these people. So they get it all the time. So you need to differentiate yourself from the beginners or the mass, let's call it the mass, and show that you can bring value, show that you're trying to establish a lucrative relationship with the supplier, with the manufacturer, and you will have a better chance at not only getting a good price, but establishing a long relationship that's advantageous. Okay, so we want to look at the employees. We want to look at the annual revenue. This is a little on the low side. They're only about 3 years old. They're doing under 5 million. They have under 100, but everything's verified. All right, number of employees in the trade department, 3 to 5. Another thing that you can do, you see it on-site check, everything's verified, is see, it's a trading company. So this is probably a distributor. Whenever you see trading companies, and they have under, they have a small amount of people, the revenue's low, and they just started, usually they are a distributor. I talk to a lot of my manufacturers. I've developed good relationships with, and they've told me, in the district in China, everything is touching each other, and everything's like a rock throw away. So you can source. It's very easy to source and distribute and middleman stuff. You get the pictures from the supplier, you tack 10, 15, 25 cents, onto the product, $1 onto the product, and now you're making money. You have to take into consideration that this area, they do not have access to the possibilities that you have in the United States or the United Kingdom or Canada, wherever it may be that you're at. All right, so another thing that sometimes I like to do is just go ahead and copy their name here and look it up. Click the wrong one. So just look it up, you know. Let me see here. Yui Sui Market Trading Company. And sometimes if they're a big guy, they'll have a website, and their website will be predominant up at the top. Let me see, this just might be a link. Yeah, this takes you to Alibaba. So if they're, you know, a lot of the big guys usually have websites that'll pop up, and it'll be up at the top of the search results. And that's a good indicator that they're a legitimate direct manufacturer. When you Google their name and you see a bunch of links that take you to Alibaba, that's a good indicator that they are a distributor, not a direct manufacturer. But still, you know, when you're starting out, I'm not telling you guys, you know, when you're starting out, you're on your first product, your second product, you know, after you find these metrics, you find a product, spend weeks trying to locate the head honcho because his MOQ, his minimum order quantity, might be out of your reach. It may be something that you can't afford. All I'm trying to do is make sure that you guys, going into it, find somebody who is reputable, who is not going to take advantage of you, where you'll get a good quality product and you'll know what's going on. You'll look like you're advanced. You won't look like a fish out of water because these guys are like sharks. You know, salesmen are like sharks, and they can smell somebody who doesn't know what's going on. And even though they may not take advantage of you and the product may be A grade, they might take advantage of you on pricing, okay? And this has happened for me. I'm just speaking from experience. This has happened to me. So, you know, definitely Google the name, check out all their metrics, you know, the amount of employees, the year established, make sure, you know, check the business type, all that stuff we went over. Do a quick Google search, make sure no scam shit comes up, like you don't see them under scam or anything like that, because if they have done anything or they have bad reputation, it will pop up. All right, and then when you get ready to contact these guys, I highly recommend that you type something up, spend some time, type it up, and save that, okay? And then when you go to contact your suppliers, just send them the same one. You know, repetition is key. Consistency is key with this. A lot of times you might see the manufacturer have a channel of distributors that all representation of them. And if you send, you know, 10 different emails and you're just going to look and you're going to look unprofessional. Just take my word for it. You know, get a logo, get your brand name, make it look very professional, and send it through them via email. Respond through them via Skype or WhatsApp app or email, because 9 times out of 10, that's their preferred method of engagement. And another time, you might not get the supplier that you need or that would be best fit for you because they don't respond to you. I know you guys respond to a lot of suppliers and just don't get anything back. That's because a lot of the suppliers are super busy and their main method of communication is not the Alibaba platform. All right, let's move on to the next guy here. Company profile. All right, so this guy here, you'll see this guy is very verified. All right, this guy's in a different district. You see, he's got a bunch of different products. Total employees 5 to 10 people, below 1 million. Year established 2016. So he's about a year old. He does below 1 million, has less than 10 people. This is definitely an example of a distributor. This is somebody I usually try to look. I don't like to go for people that have under 5 million. You know, I really shoot for 25 to 50 million, but I can accommodate what their ACO as percentages. I'm a little bit more seasoned in this industry. But for you guys starting out, I recommend to look between 5 to 10 million and at least, you know, over 10 employees. This would be somebody that I would pass on, even though they're verified, you know, they have a video and stuff. There's just not enough information. All right. They're a very small company. Even though they've been 2 years, let me see here, 2016, they're a gold supplier. This is somebody I would pass on. All right. This guy here. So let's go to the next one here. Company profile. All right, so this looks real professional right off the gate. Okay, their annual revenue is confidential. Everything here is verified. If we go back to the other one, you see they only have a couple verified. Everything's verified. To start out, they have a real professional video.
Sofa covers, and ready-made covers per month.
See, this is a manufacturer.
Our mission is to be the...
I'm not going to play that whole thing. I'm just going to give you an example so you can see it. See the difference when you locate a direct... When you locate a direct manufacturer...
Hangzhou Fashion City Home Textiles Company Limited is specialized in developing and producing soft furniture products.
Let me just mute this. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, when you find a manufacturer, you see the difference between the manufacturer and the distributor. They're going to be verified in more aspects of the business. You see the employees, over 200 employees. Okay, you see here, even though it says trading company, you see that under business type it says manufacturer. So I'm glad I was able to find this to show you guys. When you see the business type and it only says manufacturer, or excuse me, when it only says trading company, they're a distributor. So basically, they have relationships with different manufacturers. They middleman stuff. They throw a small percentage or a small commission on it, and that's how they make their living. But when you see somebody who's a manufacturer / trading company, that means that they manufacture and they specialize. And usually, you can find what they manufacture underneath their main products. But the other products they have, they distribute. And even though they're a distributor for certain products, usually they'll have a better pricing than other distributors because they're a manufacturer and they have larger buying capacity and all that good stuff. All right. So I mean, you'll see they got a bunch of pictures here of their facility. This is legitimate. They're showing different products. They have examples of their private labeling, all that good stuff. So this is somebody I would feel comfortable. All right, this supplier has been verified on site by world-leading inspection company. All right, and that's something that I talk about in the course as well. If you can't, you can get inspection companies, pre-release or post-manufacturing inspection companies to come validate their legitimacy as well as inspect your product. If it needs to be tried, make sure that it's not defective. Make sure that the quality is there. Make sure that everything that you and the manufacturer or the distributor agreed upon is proficient and adequate. If not, then you have a cause for them to default. And usually and you can get inspection companies between, post-production, pre-production, between $100 and $300. So that's something to take into consideration. If you Google it, you can find some people. I have that in all the resources in my course as well. But long story short, how it works with your first initial run-in on Alibaba with the manufacturer or a distributor is they're going to require usually 30% down to start the manufacturing process. Once the process is done, they'll require 70%. In order for the trade insurance, you have to make the purchase through Alibaba, okay? Do not use PayPal, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to build 2 levels of protection, a 2-level shield around your capital investment by doing this. Making sure you have trade insurance through Alibaba, A, and B, making sure that you use a large bank or credit card company, okay? So like for instance, I use JP Morgan. So not only do you have the ability to test it if there's anything wrong, or to create a case with your financial institution, but you have the trade insurance. So you have double layer of protection, and the banks don't play, especially when it's international. They're here for you, okay? They don't care about the other people. You will get your money back, okay? Anything's international, they don't joke around. So if you're talking and negotiating and they tell you, look, I'll give you a certain amount decrease in price, or I'll give you a better price, or they try to sweeten the deal and tell you to go off of the platform and send them a wire transfer, or go via PayPal, and it's your first transaction with the company, listen to what I'm telling you. Do not do it. Tell them that tell them thank you for your initial offer, but this is the way that my company operates. For the first initial trial run with your company, I only deal directly through Alibaba. That way I get trade insurance, and I use my credit card. That way we are protected. You can also explain to them prior to releasing the 30% funds that, hey, I am going to have somebody post come inspect the facility as well as the finished product, and I'd like to get something signed from you stating that if the product is not up to the standards that you told me, that you are to pay for the inspection the first time as well as the second time when they come back to inspect the product that you have to remake. And usually when you tell them that, I've never told them that and then had to have done it, because they know, okay, this guy understands the manufacturing process, this guy understands the import-export business, and I can't screw with this guy. Because you got to understand, a lot of these people can buy, like look at Ross, look at these larger stores. These larger stores buy seconds and liquidate seconds or defects. That's how you get that's how you get a a designer product at a discounted rate. Is because they're seconds. They're things that did not pass the inspection process, but they're still good products, okay? They're just not up to the manufacturer's specifications, and they have to do something with it, so they liquidate it to third-party vendors who, in return, liquidate it to the consumer at a discounted rate. So what happens is, if you don't let these guys know that you know what's going on, and you tell them that you sell on Amazon and that they're going to be sending it directly to Amazon, they'll mix this B-grade stuff with your order. Or if they don't know you and you've never done business with them, you're beating them up on price, they might just give you all the B-grade stuff. Okay, yeah, I give you a discount, and then they laugh at you behind your back and they give you B-grade. Then you get slammed with negative feedback because your product's defective, or your product is this, or your product is that. So, this is super important. Make sure that you let them know that you are going to do the 2 level of protection. You're going with the trade insurance. You're going through a major financial institution. And if you can't afford it, I super recommend that you have a inspection company come check out the product. If you're making a really small capital investment, just to test the waters, to get proof of concept, gain barrier to entry in that niche on Amazon, then you may not be able to, you may not afford it, you may not need it if it's under $1,000 order. But after you get that first initial investment, and then you rather go with this supplier, you go with somebody else who has better pricing, larger capacity, etc. When you start getting into the multiple hundred, multiple thousand order quantities, I definitely recommend it, is getting the inspection company post, not pre-post, before you release the 70%. Okay? And by letting these companies know, letting these manufacturers, these suppliers know that you are going to do so, lets them know, hey, I have to take care of this guy's shit. I can't screw this guy because I'm going to lose in the end run. Because what's going to happen is you got something signed by him, and you have that as proof, and he doesn't want to breach that contract, okay? Because if he breached the contract and it defaults on the quality or whatever your specifications may be that you negotiated, number one, he's going to have to pay the inspection company between $100 and $300. Number two, he's going to have to remanufacture the product. And then number three, he's going to have to pay for another inspection company to come back and inspect prior to you releasing the 70% of funds, all right? So I hope that this isn't overwhelming and this isn't too much. This is a longer video, but I really have your guys' best interest in mind, and I lost a lot of money doing this. I have a crap load of products still from last year and the year before when I started sitting in my warehouse because they're defective or they just weren't profitable. I was buying shit that looked cool, and I was buying stuff because the price was right, and it just didn't work out. So I'm trying to make sure that you guys, your first product, your second product is a home run, and that you guys are thinking outside the box, and you know everything that you need to do in order to CYA yourself and make sure that your capital investment is secured. okay? And that you guys have the best results, because the first couple will make or break you. I know it certainly made me. After first couple products were a failure, I had to go back to work to save more money, and it was like gambling. I didn't know. But if you have a criteria to follow, if you have a checklist to follow, if you have a cheat sheet to follow, if you have a mentor or curriculum to follow, whenever you start a job or you start a new class or you start a profession, you have curriculum to follow. You have literature to read and study. With the proper tools, the proper knowledge, and the proper surroundings, you can make this virtually a no-risk business. A lot of people tell me this. I'm launching my first product. Wish me luck. You don't need luck. If you took educated decisions, if you made educated decisions, you followed all the guidelines that I give you, you followed the curriculum, you followed the literature, etc., all that good stuff, then there's virtually no risk. There's risk. Risk comes from unknowing. Unknowing comes from lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge comes from what? Lack of curriculum, lack of videos, lack of literature, lack of mentor, lack of somebody who's going to tell you from their past experience, etc. So I hope that greatly helps, all right? And if you guys have any questions about this topic or any questions to anything related, please drop it in the comments below. I read all of them. I answer all of them. You can also email me directly about any questions that you may have at jforjoshuacrisp, CRISP, marketing@gmail.com. All right. So this is the second part of product research. People think product research is, I find a product, the metrics make sense, the margin's there, it's not seasonal, it's not trending, it doesn't have a lot of reviews, it's not saturated, I'm good. The second part of that battle, you've gotten the first part, which is the hardest. The second part of that battle, okay, is finding a supplier, finding a manufacturer where your capital will be properly secured and you can build a long-term relationship with them, making sure that you don't get screwed on product quality. Excuse me, you don't get screwed on product quality, you don't get screwed on price, and you don't get taken advantage of. Once again, if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.